folks, and welcome to another video. Today I have great pleasure in reviewing the new and sixth studio album, Immortalized by Disturbed. Being a massive fan of the band and not having a studio album in 5 years, I felt I needed to do this, and it would be a great idea considering how well the Breaking Benjamin album review went down. So the deluxe edition of the album clocks in around 66 minutes, just over the hour, and fairly lengthy record, but then again we got 16 songs, so you have 15 original tracks and one cover. I ain't complaining, you know, as much Disturbed as possible, please, thank you very much. For anybody who is a fan or even new getting into the band, there's a documentary you can watch on YouTube called The Decade of Disturbed. I'd recommend anybody to watch it. Great documentary, great insight and background to the band, and you know, it's always worth a watch if you're bored. So a little bit of background to Immortalized and Disturbed. Disturbed's last 4 albums have all been platinum albums, and they've all debuted at #1. Immortalized has just done the same, being the 5th consecutive release to debut at #1. In its first week it sold 98,000 copies. So with Disturbed having Immortalized being the 5th consecutive record to debut at #1 on Billboard 200, they're actually one of only 3 bands ever to do this. The other 2 being Metallica and the Dave Matthews Band. This is very special for the band obviously, and with the way Immortalized is going with its sales, and the fact that most of the fans looking at forums and looking on Facebook and Twitter seem to love the album, there's a good chance that Immortalized probably will be their 5th consecutive platinum record. I have no doubt in that Disturbed put out a fantastic record, and with the band saying before they didn't want to regroup after their 5-year hiatus until, you know, they had that fire back again, well, they definitely had it for this album. You know, the rest of the band went their own ways and did other things, like David Draymond, the singer, he went off and did a bit of vocal work on Megadeth's last record, and he started his own band, Device. Dan Donegan and Mike Wangren, the drummer, they went off and did a band, Fight or Flight, and I think they released an album or 2. And John Moyer, the bass player, went ahead and played in a band called Adrenaline Mob, which is still going. I think they've got somebody else filling in for them now. He played with the likes of Mike Portnoy. So with them all being musically active, you know, they obviously got the chance to venture into other things, and then once they had tried out some other things when they came back to Disturbed, you know, they were able to input some of that, and it definitely shows. So what I think about the songs on Immortalized on the album, well, album is really well mixed. It sounds absolutely huge in the car and on headphones, and I've just been wrapping it around my ears since I've been back from my holidays. The people at Warner Brothers really know how to market. The recording engineer, Kevin Churko, did an absolutely great job, and I have to say Immortalized is definitely a solid CD. So the album opens very similar to the last album, Asylum. Basically starts off with an instrumental track called The Eye of the Storm, where there's a lot of guitar work done by Dan Donegan, Disturbed's guitar player, and it fades into the title track Immortalized, same way Asylum had Remnants, which was the instrumental track that faded into obviously the title track Asylum. Although, like I said before, you know, Immortalized kind of being like Asylum the way it starts off, that is the only other thing that it holds with Asylum, because this album sounds incredibly different. Asylum was quite dark. This is definitely a different take on Disturbed for certain things anyway. Even the likes of the cover on the album, where they cover Simon & Garfunkel, The Sound of Silence, one of my favourite songs of all time. Even Draymond himself, he taps into a certain different sound in his voice which I haven't heard before, you know. Even listening to the likes of Device and different things like that, it sounds very different, and it's a great epic, and it is a change to the original, but it is a really good song. Even the drumming for Mike Wangren, there's parts of the album where there's bits and pieces of blasts. Actually, there's a bit in the Vengeful one, which is the big single that they released. There's kind of like blasts in it, and there's also blasts in another one of the songs. What's that song? Oh yes, The Brave and the Bold, the last song to finish the deluxe edition of the album, being the last bonus track. I actually don't understand why this didn't make the original cut of the album, because it's literally what every Disturbed song needs. Has a great solo, great riff, great harmonies, tight drums, perfect half times, chants, everything, chanty chorus. Some tracks on the CD I prefer more than others, but I can't say there's a bad song on the album itself. I would say for me, my top would be like Vengeful One, Who Taught You How to Hate, The Brave and the Bold, Open Your Eyes, You're Mine, Sound of Silence. You know, it's a really, really solid album. I'd have to say, with the likes of Disturbed getting back on the scene, I've seen some live footage of their House of Blues Chicago gig, and it looks like the beast has really and truly awakened. Hopefully Disturbed get round to playing the UK. They're kind of one of them bands that I've really wanted to see for a long time. Like, I absolutely love Mike Wanger's drumming, and I love the band, like, but for a long time there, you know, with the band members having different things going on, it seemed like there probably wasn't going to be another live performance of Disturbed ever again. It seemed like that for a lot of people anyway, and I thought that myself when it was, you know, coming on the 5-year mark or after the 5-year mark. But yeah, hopefully they come to the UK. Would definitely love to see them. Even the first live performance of the Vengeful One, it looked fucking class. Disturbed definitely have a big library now, a fairly big discography, a lot of songs, and I would imagine obviously they'd be doing most of the songs off the new album, which I'd totally be on for. I'd like to hear some of the classic Disturbed songs though, kind of like 10,000 Fists and Down with a Sickness, you know, The Animal, Another Way to Die, Criminal, Indestructible, Inside the Fire, you know, stuff like that, you know, great classic Disturbed songs. So all in all, to summarise with Immortalized, if you like Disturbed, you will love this album. If you're new to Disturbed, Immortalized is definitely a good place to start. The album has a lot of variety and a lot of dynamic to it, which I love, and I can definitely hear in my head some of the songs on the album becoming classic Disturbed songs for years to come. As far as the band went, the creative effort, fantastic. You know, 15 original songs in the deluxe edition, and even the way they arranged The Sound of Silence was great. Disturbed have that like groove metal thing down to a fucking T, really. You know, they are masters of it. You know, the groove and the half time, they have that shit nailed. Draymond definitely doing different things with his voice than he has done in the past, you know, and some of the harmonies and even like how strong he emits his voice in some of the tracks is different, and it is good. It definitely sounds very clear and definitely punches out in certain songs. John Moyer, fantastic bass player, did his duties well. I can't fault Immortalized. Fucking over the moon. Disturbed are back. Number 1 on Billboard 200. They are literally making history right now. So if you haven't listened to Immortalized, go out and listen to it. If you like what you hear, buy the album, help contribute to the sales. You know, metal is booming at the minute. And inside the in sleeve, their drummer Mike Wangern says a great thing at the end. He says, Dan, David and John, thank you for being my brothers in a dream that amazingly is still alive after all these years. We get to do every day what most people can only fantasize about together. We are unstoppable, indestructible and forever immortalized. That's right. These people can't be fucking touched. Go out and buy the album. You need to listen to it. Alright folks, that's going to wrap up my album review for the 6th studio album Immortalized by Disturbed. If you liked the video, please throw a thumbs up on it down below. If you really liked my content, please subscribe to my channel, it helps me out an awful lot. You can follow me anytime on Twitter and Facebook at For The Banter and I. Until next time, brothers and sisters, blood of my blood, fellow disturbed ones, goodbye.